Hi, friends. I'm Elizabeth. Welcome back to the farm. So, the last time we were together, I was potting up tulips that I had grown in crates for a couple of weeks after keeping them in cool storage. I was growing them out for a local nursery, and now I'm taking those same crates with the same soil and I'm going to put lily bulbs in there. Now, the lily bulbs are mine. So I'll just continue to grow those out for me. But the tulips that I had grown out earlier, they were for a collaborative project that I had going with one of our local nurseries. So let me just show you this real quick. Here, let's tip you down. See, here's the crate. It has all the old, a little bit of roots and all that from the tulips. But believe it or not, tulips really are not heavy feeders. They don't use a lot of the nutrients from the soil. Most of the nutrients that they have is actually in their bulb, and you don't. For that reason, you don't even need to really feed tulips, especially if the tulips are going to be blooming once and then you're going to use them as a cut flower. Or in the case of what I was doing with the nursery, is that I'm pretty sure most of those people who are buying those tulips were going to put them out in the landscape. Anyway, all that aside, I'm going to use the same soil that the tulips were in for several weeks, and now I'm going to put lily bulbs in those. And while I'm doing that, we're going to talk about lilies, and we're also going to talk a little bit more about our flower farm and our family, and kind of some of the behind the scenes stuff. So first, let's talk about lilies. I got these from Awnings. This is, or Ownings. I'm not sure how to say it. I've never heard anybody say it before. I got these several weeks ago, and so they've actually already started to sprout in the packing medium. I don't know if y'all can see that. See, already started to sprout. So the thing with I've got tulips on the brain. The thing with lilies is you've got to be super careful. This tip, if it's broken off, it will not bloom. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure if it'll grow a stalk, like just a regular leafy stalk. I do know that if you keep it in the soil, like if you're going to plant these out in the flower bed later, they will grow a bloom later, possibly, but they will not grow a bloom this year. So you've got to be super careful of this. Can you see it? Of this tip right here. Just be really careful that it doesn't pop off. So as I open up this little bag, here, see, this little bag of lilies, I'm going to be super careful to not pull or not pop off the tip. The other thing about lilies is these come actually frozen from Ownings or awnings, whatever you call it. And as they thaw out, that's when you can plant them. And they're perfectly safe in their little plastic bag. As long as they stay a little bit moist, you can plant them out anytime. Like I said, these have been, it's not optimal, but they do fine. These have been in this little plastic bag sitting in my cool garage now for probably a month. So I'll plant them out, and then in several weeks, probably 8, they will have a bloom on them. So these also don't have to have a lot of fertilizer. They're very, very similar to tulips in that they get a lot of their, see the bulb? They get a lot of their nutrients from the bulb. And so all they really need is warmth and sunshine and water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to nestle them into the soil, and then gently I'm going to top them with a little bit of soil, not very much. Okay, so and also I'm going to put them not quite side by side. I think the recommendation is to have 3 to 4 inches space in between each bulb. I'm going to kind of push them a little bit and place them a little bit closer than that. I've got, I think, 25 bulbs in here. Oh, these are Milano tulips. They're a double tulip, and they're a real pale, beautiful pastel pink. So it'll be perfect for early summer, late spring, which is probably when they'll start to bloom. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start putting these in the crate while we talk. So I can't remember where exactly we left off, but just a little bit of background on me. I did start the farm when I was in my 50s. I did mostly start by myself. Not that people didn't want to help. I don't mean it that way at all. Everybody was happy to help, but they just weren't home. Most of the kids were either in college or they were, I had one kid in the Navy. As a matter of fact, he just got out a little bit ago after 7 or 8 years. Everybody was just doing their own thing, just like it is when you're a family with a bunch of kids, and everybody grows up and then they go to college and find jobs in other cities, and that's what everybody's been doing. My husband does work a lot of out of town, not always, but almost always, and he helped when he had a chance, but he just wasn't home very much. he did do a lot of tilling, and he did do a lot of the heavy work, a lot of the muscle work. Like, I don't know, he made me raised beds. He helped me put up fencing. Matter of fact, he and my oldest son put that fencing up that's out there now. I'll show it to you probably in one of the videos sometime later. It's moose proof, kind of. It's really tall. It's 12 foot tall. But anyway, he put the fencing in for me. I never could have done. Well, I guess I could have done that, but it would have taken me longer than just a week. I think it took he and Peter about, I don't know, a week or so to get it done. So anyway, it would have taken me longer. I think I could have gotten it done. Maybe not. Definitely not by myself. But anyway, the boys got that done. So when my husband's home, he's very, very helpful. He's just, not home as much as he'd like to be, and me too. So pretty much the farm is my thing, and that's fine. I love it. And what I don't we met. Um, I used to, most of my nursing experience, I'm a nurse, most of my nursing experience has been in emergency medicine. And when I lived in Texas, I'm born and raised in Texas. When I lived in Texas, I was working at one of the big hospitals there in the emergency room. And then I started working as a flight nurse, and that's where I met my husband. Now, at the time, he was a paramedic on the streets. He was just working the streets and not a helicopter medic yet. But pretty much within the first few weeks that he started working on a helicopter, I did too. And that's where we really got to know each other and fell in love, and yeah, all sorts of stories and stuff. Anyway, so we've been married for a little over 30 years, 31 years. And we've lived in all sorts of different places while my husband was going to school, getting his master's. Um, and But the final dream, my husband grew up here, up in the Northwest, and our final dream was to get the kids up here, just because, and I think I mentioned this in the other video, living in an area that has wilderness like we have here is the most wonderful thing. I know most people don't have the ability to live in a place that has wilderness like this, but if you ever were able to live in a place that had woods and clean water and a place for the kids to explore, and I don't wouldn't say run wild, but explore and hunt and fish and learn how to be grown-ups and learn how to do things on their own and do problem solving. It's a great thing. It doesn't have to be Montana. It could be Idaho. It could be, heck, could be Missouri or Arkansas or the parts of Texas outside of where I grew up, or Louisiana. There are lots of great places, just as long as the kids have a chance to really explore. Okay, enough of that. So all my kids grew up here. This has been a really, really wonderful experience. I wouldn't change it for the world. So what else? So I think I mentioned this before. My plan for this channel is to just create some community. Um, there are not very many flower farmers that start at 58. There are not many people who start any business at 58. And so I'm not saying I'm doing it perfectly at all. As a matter of fact, most of the time I'm doubting myself, definitely on the tech side and definitely on the farming side. But I have been doing this for 7 years. There's some things I feel pretty confident about. One of them is growing tulips. And then there are some things that are still a real challenge. I think I mentioned this too before. The weather is a huge challenge here. We definitely almost always have for sure 90-day growing time, end of May, beginning of June to usually the end of August, beginning of September. I mentioned this before too. We have had freezing temperatures in July. We have had snow in July. And more times than not in the last 7 or 8 years I've been farming, we've had a freeze that Labor Day weekend. Not very much time, but that's okay. It's a good challenge. I love it. The farming is wonderful and amazing, and there's no looking back. I love it. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to pot up these lilies. I'm sure you guys have a million questions, and then just kind of go from there. If anybody has any questions, please ask it in the comments and I'll get to it. I have to tell you though, I am really terrible at tech. I'm old, I'm fat, and I don't do tech well. As a matter of fact, if you saw in the last video, I dropped the camera. I'm not even sure how that happened. I'll have to go back and look, but I kept it in there. So maybe, I don't know. I kept it in the video whatever. Mostly because I haven't figured out how to edit it out. So the editing is going to be limited because I'm not really good at that at all. And I tried to put music in and it was a failure. So probably no music, at least not for a little while until I figure that out too. So as far as this channel goes, very limited, very to the point, mostly about garden farming, flowers, things that are going on, flower farming wise. And yeah, I guess that's it. Like I said, 13 times now. If you guys have any questions about flower farming, especially flower farming in a cold, the bald, naked prairies of Montana or not, please just drop the question in the comments. I'm happy to answer them for you. If you have a question about lilies, I'm happy to talk to you about that. If you have a question about tulips, I'm happy to talk to you about that. And I think the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit more seed starting. But that's it for today. I guess that's it. Okay. So have a great day. I'll see you guys in the next video.